Charles Murray is an American political scientist. He was born in Newton, Iowa in 1943 and raised in a Republican family. The Republican Party in the USA can be compared to the Conservative Party in the UK. He therefore has right-wing political views on society, which means he opposes socialism and social democracy. In 1984, Murray published Losing Ground, a controversial account of American welfare programs between 1950 and 1980. The book was widely discussed at the time and was believed to have had an influence on the thinking of welfare reformers both in America and in Britain. Murray argued that American society had a growing underclass. He believed that government policies have encouraged the members of this underclass to become dependent on benefits. In his view, American welfare reforms which resulted in increased levels of benefit discouraged self-sufficiency and led a growing number of single parents and young people to lose interest in getting jobs. Murray suggested 3 principles upon which to base welfare reform. The first is that people respond to incentives and disincentives, so people will work hard if there's a reward or avoid doing something if there is a punishment, for example. The second is that people are not inherently hard-working or moral. In the absence of a good reason not to, people will avoid work and behave badly. The third is that people must be held responsible for their actions if society is to function properly. Murray argued that in America, between 1950 and 1980, various changes in welfare, education, and the criminal justice system had changed the balance between rewards and sanctions. It was no longer the case that people needed to have a job, work hard in school, get married if they were going to have a baby, or obey the law if they wanted to avoid prison. Murray proposed 3 laws that governed national welfare programs. The first is the law of imperfect selection. In other words, some people will always be excluded from impersonally managed national programs, even though they should have been included. The second is the law of unintended rewards. For example, by supporting people who abuse drugs or fail at school, a welfare program has the unintended consequence of rewarding that behaviour, or at least remove the consequences for an individual of their own actions. The third is the law of net harm. Murray believed that in democratic societies, most national programs do net harm when they attempt to deal with the most difficult problems, such as unemployment or drug addiction, because they tend to support rather than end such behaviours. According to Murray, the growing membership of the underclass posed a threat to the economic and social fabric of American society because its members were a burden on taxpayers and responsible for a rising crime rate. He proposed the complete abolition of national welfare programs such as social security benefits and help with housing, and said these programs should be replaced with locally managed solutions. Murray visited Britain at the end of the 1980s, after the publication of Losing Ground, and he argued that Britain was also developing an underclass. He identified rising rates of illegitimacy, a rising crime rate, and an apparent unwillingness amongst some of Britain's youths to seek employment as signs of the development of an underclass. He believed that traditional values such as honesty, trust, integrity, effort, family life, and hard work were being undermined by members of the underclass to be replaced by an alternative value system that tolerated crime and various forms of antisocial behaviour. To criticise Murray, it can be argued that his evidence base was poor. Much of his research suggests that the benefit system does not have the effect that he claims, and that many of the so-called underclass actually have conventional attitudes and want stable relationships and paid employment. If we were to view the underclass more sympathetically, we could say that they're victims of social inequality rather than the cause of social problems. And in addition to that, it's also possible to argue that lone parenthood is not a sign of a growing underclass. Lone parents exist for many other reasons, and actually the largest group of lone parents claiming welfare payments in Britain have tended to be divorced mothers rather than socially irresponsible unmarried mothers. Murray's right-wing perspective on the welfare state is very controversial and tends to overlook the benefits that the welfare state does provide to many people who have suffered from inequalities and are in need of the extra help.